Hey guys, it's Ed with CMC Reptiles. I wanted to do a video on actually some of my 2018 hatchlings. I kind of did a little experiment feeding like a dozen of my hatchlings that hatched out back in, I want to say September, October, which most of my clutches hatched out back then. This is one of them. And so this, this snake's about 5-6 months old. This is a lemon blast yellow belly, and this is one of the animals I was actually feeding my own rats live, my own, just weekly, not power feeding, because this animal is already 600 and little over 600 grams. I just weighed this guy, and yeah, the difference is, and I fed some frozen thawed that I got from the Lane Laboratory. So I just wanted to see the difference. And I actually was feeding these guys, weekly. I didn't power feed them. I wasn't feeding them twice a week. I wasn't feeding, anything bigger. They were eating pretty much the same meal. I'll even show you the other ones I was feeding the same thing because they're exactly the same size. And then I'll show you some that I fed frozen thawed. So I just wanted to see if it would make a difference. Here's another one, just a lemon blast. Again, almost 600 grams. And you got to remember, these guys are only 6 months old. Here's a black pastel pewter, 600 grams. They're all within maybe 10-15 grams of each, and this guy's in shed. They all eat really good. Actually, all my hatchlings eat really good. Here's another lemon blast, 600 grams. Then I'm going to show you some animals that hatched out at the same time, same hatchling, but it's half the weight. And this is feeding this weekly rats. But again, I was feeding it. I want to get one of my lemon blast out just to show you the size difference. And feeding my own rats compared to feeding frozen thawed weekly. Same size rats. I mean, I was feeding rat pups. These guys went all the way. Now they're eating weaned rats. And these guys are still eating pups. I mean, that's how much faster they grew. Feeding my own, rats that I've bred or breeding. Huge difference, half the size difference, and pretty much the same age, maybe just weeks different coming out of the egg, which is, pretty amazing to say that, and this is a healthy snake, not saying, oh my God, it's not eating, it eats every week. Completely healthy snake, just came out of shed. Yeah, and like I said, never refusing meals, but to me, when you're breeding your own rats and they're eating, the right size animal compared to buying frozen thawed, because I do buy some frozen thawed from Lane Laboratory. I just actually bought an order from Forrest of some rat pups and some weaned rats. And I usually do that because I'll run low on my own stock of rat pups. I don't want to deplete my rats, so once in a while I will buy, a bag of 100. But yeah, just a huge difference when you're feeding your own animals to your snakes. I mean, it's just big difference. And here's another one I'll show you. This is an animal that my daughter's friend actually got at Petco. I want to say this animal's over a year old. Just say that. It's a year-old male from Petco. I've had it for a couple of months now, and it's not the greatest eater, but it is eating. When I got it, it was in stuck shed. Obviously, he wasn't feeding it properly, and he did just eat. But this is a year-old Inchy butter, and that's what happens sometimes when you buy your animals from a Petco or PetSmart, that, you know, 5-month-old snake is bigger than that year-old snake, because that year-old snake, just because of the way it was cared for, it's not on a good eating pattern. It doesn't eat well. And I think that's a huge thing, especially in the beginning when these guys come out of the egg, that their feeding response is really good, because I think just through their whole life it kind of carries out. Yeah, they'll go off food once in a while, but none of my hatchlings refuse food. You know, I sold all mine from last year. Well, not last year, but 2017. I still have a lot left from 2018. And I'll be keeping a few. But yeah, again, you know, at 5 months old, they're already at breeding size. I do keep my rats with the mother until they're smalls. Yeah, I keep them until they're smalls with the mom. So this way they get the best of both worlds. They're actually eating some of the food, and they're still nursing on the mom, which is pretty cool. My last clutch, and I got these guys on all frozen thawed. These guys are about I want to say 4 months old. And these guys are over 200 grams. But again, they're eating frozen thawed, way smaller. They're nowhere near the size as the other ones. So I'm switching all these guys now to my rats. You know, feeding them my own rat pups. And you'll see how much faster they grow. So I'll put another video up maybe in a couple of months so you could see the difference. And, you know, and this one right here is younger than that one. So, you know, that's probably the normal, I would think, size at just a 3-4 months old, weighing about 250 grams, something like that. Eats every week, never refuses a meal. Even in shed, these guys do that. So it's pretty cool. As long as you're keeping, you know, your temps, humidity, everything good. Yeah, these animals will pound food. Because I have bought, you know, snakes, and I'm talking snakes that are 3-4 years old, from other breeders that are horrible, just horrible eaters. And they're just not good. I'll tell you, here's one right here, actually. On food now, but I got this snake last year. It's a Lavender albino, nice and healthy. But it went 8 months till it took its first meal. From the time I got it, took it out of the box, 8 months later it finally ate. So yeah, it went a long time. Now it's eating pretty much weekly, and it's been doing that for months now. So yeah, nice healthy snake. I think she's like 1,200 grams now. But man, the longest time I was getting a little bit worried. And of course I switched her to paper, put the hide in front, and that kind of triggered her. Gave her about 2 weeks where I didn't offer any food, and then she started eating. And she eats live. She definitely wants a live rat. She will not eat frozen thawed. But again, it shows you that, you know, some animals, to me, if they're not, I don't know, cared for in the beginning properly, that's why I would never buy anything from Petco. Only because of that. You have issues, you know, with these animals going off food, and it's just not a good thing. Yeah, guys, here's another pair of animals that all came out same time. These almost guys are twins. Here, this was a pairing of a cine leopard to a lesser leopard, and this is where I got the super lesser leopard. This one's a possible super also. It's got a lot of white ringing. And look at that, there's 5, and they're all in shed. I just pulled these 3 out because that's all the room I have on this table. They all go into shed at the exact same time because they all came out of the egg at the exact same time. And these ones have also been eating frozen thawed. So they're just over 200 grams, you know, at 3 months old. And all of these guys are now, I will start feeding my own rats. Because now I have plenty of females that are having lots of litters, rats. So I could start just feeding everything my own animals rather than buying, you know, the frozen thawed rat pups and weaned rats from, you know, Lane Laboratory, places like that. Because I think feeding them your own and the fact that they're live, these just have more nutrition in them. You know, maybe a higher content of fat, I don't know. But I've seen a difference because I did the little experiment with, you know, 6 animals on my own and then the rest on frozen thawed. And you can see, I mean, I feed them every Friday. And these guys, all the clutches go into shed together, the ones that came out of the egg. So it's kind of cool how they're all growing at the same pace, same exact size, no size difference, you know, because they're all eating really good. And like I said, these are identical. These are lesser leopard cinnies. That one's yours, Andy. But yeah, all really good eaters. And I want to do another video, like I said, in a couple of months, seeing the progress on these guys since I switched them over to my own rats. So I know there's going to be a difference feeding them my own animals. So this way it'll show, you know, frozen thawed versus your own rats that you're breeding. And I don't mean just frozen thawed versus live. I mean, because when you buy live rats at a pet shop or whoever supplies them for you, feed store, those aren't the right size. I mean, when I used to buy live rats, when I'd buy smalls, the smalls were rat pups. When I'd buy mediums, the mediums were smalls. They were never the same size, so my snakes were never eating the right size animal. And that's one of the reasons I started breeding my own rats. Even though it's a lot of work and a lot of time, it saved me money. And now my snakes are a lot healthier. They're eating better. They grow faster. I think all that makes a huge difference. Yeah, so I will put up another video in maybe, let's say, 2 months. I'll start feeding all these guys my own rat pups that I've bred. And I'll give it about 2 months. I'll start next Friday, which I think is the 15th of February. February. And then we'll see the difference, all right? All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.